Hello and welcome to the Unnamed Automotive Podcast. My name is Sami Haj Assad, and with me, as always, is my good friend and fellow automotive journalist, Benjamin Hunting. Say hi to the people, Ben.
Greetings, Maytime listeners.
Ben, did you just yawn into the mic?
Well, maybe it's been a long day. I had to pick up some furniture. I had my Jeep stall out. I had to load my trailer, which involves me physically moving the trailer across the yard. Like, I can't go get it with my truck because the ground is too soft. Mm-hmm. So if I'm going, then there's probably a reason.
All right. Well, I've got plenty of things to talk about this week to kind of like energize you. But before we do that, I want you to discuss your latest little project that you're working on. It's not really a little project. It's a big project.
I like when you diminish my project.
Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. That's not what I meant. That's not what I meant.
Maybe all my little friends are interested in my little project.
Hey, man, I'm interested in every one of your projects. I've been there. I got your back.
All right. So I have a comic book on Kickstarter right now, Dead Air, which is a book about a world where one day out of the year you can talk to the dead, and it flashes back and forth between a group of 1990s college radio DJs and their adult selves in the year 2011 as they try to figure out what actually happened relating to a tragedy that occurred in their youth. And that book can be found at deadaircomic.com. We are well on our way to getting funded. There's about 3 weeks left in the campaign. And I know a bunch of you guys and girls and folk have supported my comics in the past, and I really appreciate that. So it's been a couple of years since I've had an issue of Dead Air ready. And I know that some of you are probably waiting, or maybe you forgot about the book. In any case, if you're interested, deadaircomic.com, go check it out.
I love it, and the artwork of the previous issues is unbelievable, as is the storytelling. So I didn't mean anything when I said that, but I stand by your comic work. I think it's brilliant. Where can people find your latest work?
If you're not looking for comics, you can find my car writing at Motor Trend, at Haggerty, and at driving.ca.
And you can find my work at autotrader.ca and driving.ca, as well as driving.ca's YouTube channel. Ben, you're also all over the internet. You're like on every single indie comic podcast I've ever listened to in my life.
Okay, maybe
Are you not going to plug any of those?
No, I'm not. It's overwhelming. I, in fact, have another recording scheduled for tonight, so I have to rely on their plugging in order for this to work. I can't be constantly plugging.
You don't want to plug the other podcasts that you are being on because
it's overwhelming. Like I don't know how else to tell it. Like literally 30 to 40% of my day now is promoting my comic book.
Okay,
so that takes a lot out of you.
Then I'm sorry for taking so much out of the intro.
Yeah, the other 60% is dealing with Sami. So like you can imagine what my life is like.
I'm sorry for taking so much of your mental energy and the intro to talk about your comic book work, but we'll put that all aside for now. I think we're ready to talk about some cars and trucks in particular, because this week I'm driving the 2026 Grand Wagoneer, and there's actually so much to talk about with this truck.
Sami,
I'm so stoked to tell you about it.
Is it still a Grand Wagoneer if the regular Wagoneer no longer exists?
It is still a Grand Wagoneer if the regular Wagoneer no longer exists, because there still is another Wagoneer. I believe the Wagoneer S, which is an electric vehicle and not at all related to the Grand Wagoneer.
And like way smaller.
Yeah, is also available. So basically what happened was, I think it was 2021. Jeep introduced the Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer, and the reception was, let's say, lukewarm at best.
First of all, it's not like that's a confusing strategy.
Yeah, I know. So basically they said, we've got a 3-row cross. It's not just 2 cars they made. It's actually like 4 cars, because they made the Wagoneer and then the long wheelbase Wagoneer. And then they said, hey, you know what? If you think that's not good enough for you, there's the Grand Wagoneer and the Grand Wagoneer long wheelbase.
I think the long wheelbases came out a bit later too. I think it was a cascaded kind of thing.
See, that's even worse, right? They're like, if that wasn't confusing enough, a Grand Wagoneer can also be grander in terms of size.
And there was one more confusing aspect of this, is they weren't Jeeps. Like they didn't have any Jeep branding on them. They didn't have Jeep badges. And they were sold, if you were on the Jeep website, they were part of their own little thing that was called like Wagoneer. And it was an attempt to create a luxury brand. Now, the whole idea behind this was Cadillac makes a lot of money selling Escalades, and Jeep thought that they could get a piece of that. And
Mhm.
Cadillac has for a really long time resisted the idea of spinning Escalade off as its own brand.
Okay.
I think that Jeep might have jumped the gun trying to create a brand out of whole cloth with Wagoneer.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. And I think they were hit with so much, not just criticism and feedback from the media and customers, because apparently not very many people bought the Wagoneer or the Grand Wagoneer. They just like they took a hit, man.
They were very expensive.
They were expensive.
They still are.
Well, kind of. Now it's weird because the Wagoneer has been absorbed by the Grand Wagoneer, so you can get a regular, basically what used to be a Wagoneer, okay? But it's now called a Grand Wagoneer for around $60,000.
60,000 Canadian?
No, US.
Okay. In Canada, what does it start at? Like 80, 85?
Yeah, like 88, almost 90.
That's a lot.
It's a lot of money, but that's because all of them in Canada come with four-wheel drive. They're 4x4s.
That's
right?
the one reason. That's the $20,000 difference.
Yeah.
That's a heck of an all-wheel drive system.
Okay, that's not the only major thing that they changed about the Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer. I should stop saying Wagoneer from now on.
Yeah, no more.
It's dead. Okay, I just gotta get it. I just gotta get through this. I can't say Wagoneer anymore. I know we have such deep feelings for the name Wagoneer, but it's just Grand Wagoneer from now on out. So if you hear me saying just Wagoneer without the word Grand in front of it, know that I'm totally making a huge mistake, okay?
Okay.
So in addition to that, it got a visual refresh, I believe. It looks a little bit more modern, kind of high-tech than the outgoing model did. I think it looks closer to a Grand Cherokee now. I won't say they smoothed out the boxiness of the old one because it's still quite boxy, but I will say I warmed up to this design way quicker than I did the old one. I think it looks much better now.
I want to ask Sami, is the Grand Wagoneer the only Jeep that is not trail rated?
I think that's a really good question. I would guess that there is another one.
Because I think that there's...
Is Wagoneer S trail rated?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I know we're still waiting for the Trailhawk version of the Grand Wagoneer, of the Grand Cherokee. And I believe the Trailhawk version of the regular Cherokee isn't out yet either. But once
because that's like brand new.
Yeah, well, both of those are brand new.
Yes.
Or at least refreshed. But until we know those are coming, right? So, but until those do arrive, then technically those aren't trail rated vehicles. I mean, it's really marketing. What does it really matter? But it is effective in the sense that those versions of those SUVs are quite capable.
Mm-hmm. I want to talk about trail rated a little bit later when
okay. Well, just to point out that Jeep has not made any effort to, as far as I know, to create a trail rated version of the Grand Wagoneer, and we're like 5 years into its lifespan.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard. Okay, you know what? Let's just talk about this right away because it's one of the major sticking points I have with the Grand Wagoneer. Is that when you look to the brand Jeep, you think of off-road credibility or capability, and where does a 3-row SUV fit in on that, especially one that, like you said, doesn't really wear that trail-rated badge? It's a really tough thing to ask when you're like, oh, Jeep also means luxury.
Well, Jeep doesn't always mean luxury, right?
Well, can also mean luxury. And it just that's a new thing that they've just decided, and they've hiked up the price point for that.
Even that though is it can mean luxury, but only for like 2 models.
Yeah, the Grand Cherokee and the Grand Wagoneer.
Yeah, you don't really see like a luxurious entry level Jeep, and no. the Wrangler has never offered a luxury version.
Should they?
No,
like a G-Wagon.
That's where your mind goes. You think that they could do a G-Wagon-esque thing with the Wrangler platform? Well,
no, they can't. Of course not a chance.
All right.
So the reason I bring that up is because this does have a few little like off-road gimmicks in the form of like, it has, on my model in particular, had air suspension. It could raise the ride height so that you would have just around 10 inches, just a little over 10 inches of ground clearance.
That's intimidating.
But that's not a lot, is it?
I mean, it's more than a regular Jeep.
It is more. It's more than a regular Jeep,
and it's also more than a Subaru Outback Wilderness. Yeah, so like they're
which is our benchmark.
Exactly, that's the yardstick.
Just a little bit though, isn't a Wilderness like 9 or something? 9.
I think it's like 9.6. I don't know if it's something
so
around
it's like
there.
half an inch.
Yeah.
Anyways, in addition to that, it's got locking diffs. It's got a low range 4-wheel drive mode.
Do they all have locking diffs and do they all have low range? Or is it
all the Wranglers, or just the model that I have?
The Grand Wagoneers, which I believe.
Sorry, all the Grand Wagoneers. Wow, Sami.
because I know that for like the Grand Cherokee, you could order like 4 different off-road 4-wheel drive systems, right? So yeah. I'm curious to know if the Grand Wagoneer is similar like that. Or do they just give you the best one like right off the bat?
I would love to tell you, but for whatever reason, I didn't close the page. Let me be clear.
You never opened it.
No, it's just not working for me now. I'm getting timeouts on the Stellantis website.
What's the top of the line Jeep 4-wheel drive system? It's called like Quadra Drive 2 or something, isn't it?
What a name it's gonna have. Yeah, Quadra Drive. Is it up to 2 now, or is it 4?
I think so. I don't remember a Quadra Drive 1, but I do remember Quadra Drive 2 being pretty popular.
Okay, one sec.
And that's usually the one that's paired with the air suspension system.
Mm-hmm.
I did some pretty crazy stuff with that 4-wheel drive system. I remember being in Texas outside of Austin, and I guess it's called like Black Hill Country. If anyone is from Texas and wants to correct me, please feel free to write in. And we went to this, I don't think it was an off-road park, but it had a sheer rock face. And I want to say the angle was super intense, like maybe like a 45-degree angle, maybe even more. And we climbed up this angle using a stock Jeep Grand Cherokee. And it was so steep that when we came down the same direction, I was hanging in my seatbelt. Like my seatbelt was like suspending me in the air. And you just realize how much of your safety is riding on the friction coefficient of your tires and that
Absolutely.
rock.
Yes. So Quadra Drive 2 with the 4x4 and the rear electronic limited slip diff and the low range gear ratio is optional.
Okay.
So not every vehicle comes with
it. It's optional as in it's the only 4-wheel drive system, or it's optional on top of another 4-wheel drive system?
I'm going to double check. I think it's just the only all-wheel drive option.
But there's no
in
locking...
the US there's a rear-wheel drive version.
And there's no locking front diff. You mentioned one before, but you're not mentioning one now.
I swear it does have one. Mine had one.
Was yours modified? Did you pick yours up from Tej?
Yeah,
that's probably it.
Let me make sure. I'm gonna make sure I have everything, because I was using my Canadian specs, and of course, the Canadian and the US have very different outfits for their models. For example, the US has an even fancier version of the vehicle that I drove,
called the Black Label Double Trouble
Summit Reserve, and I drove the Summit Obsidian.
Remember back when Tej was just like living a relaxed life?
Yeah, I do.
In Miami. That. And then he traded all that for, I don't even know what, like the insane stress of going to space. It just seems like he could have made some better choices.
Don't you want to be in space?
It seems like no one in that group got to enjoy their riches.
I'm going to believe. Hold on. I'm going to believe.
Unnamed Automotive Specs Podcast. I'm just trying to fill this blank space.
Get everything that I'm saying that you can get.
All right, that's fine. Let's move on.
Okay. Another important thing to talk about: the engine in this vehicle has changed entirely.
What do you mean entirely?
Sorry.
Whoa.
There used to be multiple engine options for the Grand Wagoneer.
Not for a while, though. Not for a while.
I think this is the first year they've cut down to only the 3-liter, the 420 horsepower version of the Hurricane engine. Before, they used to offer a 540 horsepower version of it, which sounds really impressive. I think that would be a pretty good like spec sheet.
It is a good engine. I've driven it in both the Grand Wagoneer and the Ram.
And I've driven the 420 horsepower model before this, and I'm driving this 420 horsepower now. It's okay. It's pretty good actually. But
why did
no
they
longer
cut it down? Aren't you in the Supreme Obsidian Overlord edition?
It's not available in any trim. You
That's
cannot get a
wild.
500 horsepower version of this truck anymore. I'll tell you
Why?
what they're going to do now instead. Remember the Pentastar?
Yeah, the V6.
Yeah, the Pentastar is coming back.
Oh my goodness.
You
What's
know,
going
in
on?
extended range electric vehicle format, where the car will make something like 650 horsepower and will go, I guess, I don't know, like 500 miles.
Okay, so people who are listening who aren't familiar with the EREV, which is the abbreviation of what Sami just described, this is a hybrid system where the V6 engine that is under the hood is not connected to the wheels.
That's right.
All it does is work as a generator to provide an electric motor or a series of electric motors with the power to accelerate the vehicle. Now, if you think it's strange to have not just a battery and not just electric motors, but also a full V6 drivetrain in a vehicle to achieve some kind of questionable goal, I'm not sure what's going on. I agree with you. I think it's very odd. There are other systems out there on the market that do similar things. If you look at Honda's hybrid system, I believe that it only connects to the wheels in like very limited situations.
Okay.
Most of the time, it's the electric motor that's doing all of the work. This is all bringing us back to the days of the Volt when it came out in the early 2010s.
But that had like a 4-cylinder engine.
And there were all those arguments about whether it was actually a hybrid or whether it was an extended range electric vehicle.
Yeah.
The Volt is probably the most famous example of this. The BMW i3 is another one where you could get it was
range
funny.
extended trunk shortener, right?
Yeah, and not only that, but when you added this gas-powered range extension engine to the i3, it lowered the range of the vehicle because it added weight. So all of this is coming full circle back to the Grand Wagoneer, where we have this system that is obviously going to be super heavy. Is it really worth it? Like, I don't get it.
Let's be clear here. The current weight of this vehicle is 6,000 pounds.
Okay, but the weight of the F-150 Lightning is also 6,000 pounds.
So, how much heavier can it be?
Probably 8.
Yeah.
I mean, the Hummer EV and the Silverado
but
EV
those are full EVs.
But they're 9,000 pounds. So what I'm saying is there's a lot of room where this could, land.
Yeah.
I think it's a weird idea. I really like that other engine. I don't understand why it's gone.
The 540 horsepower one?
Yeah, like what happened?
Why did you do that to us, Jeep? I don't know. And I will be clear, the engine is good enough, but I just
Is that what you want out of a luxury
exactly,
vehicle?
Especially in the US. I mean, in Canada where this costs $125,000, you'd want something that's like that goes a good step above the competition. Now, one of the more important things that you mentioned was the competition. You mentioned Cadillac, the Cadillac Escalade, and of course there's the Lincoln Navigator there. That's where the highest end of the Grand Wagoneer kind of sits around in terms of price point. That like in Canadian dollars, it's around $120,000. The Escalade and the Lincoln Navigator can also get significantly more expensive, but the Grand Wagoneer kind of like tops at that $125,000 Canadian mark.
I'm assuming the big money is now for the hybrid version.
Yeah, that will probably be like, another 20 grand or so.
Yeah, 647 horsepower.
Yeah.
A 92 kilowatt hour battery pack.
Woof.
two electric motors.
That's a huge motor.
It is huge, but it's still half of what's in a Hummer EV.
Yeah.
They're claiming 500 miles of driving range, but like, what does that even mean when you're... I don't want to get into it.
Let's be clear. This is an automaker that has kind of flubbed its entire PHEV strategy or electrified strategy. Not only flubbed it, just crossed it all out, right?
Yeah.
Are they really going to make this? Make it come to market and support the customers who buy it for how long? Because, there's a lot of happy Chrysler PHEV owners, and I think Wrangler 4xe owners that they're just not going to be like cared about now, I guess.
I don't know. It's a mess.
Anyways, One of the cool things about this truck, though, is that it has a max tow rating of 10,000 pounds, which is pretty good. It's also very spacious. Behind the third row, you'll get more space than what you get in a Yukon Denali, which I think is like the perfect competition for this.
But there's two versions of the Denali, right? There's also the XL.
Yeah. I'm talking about the short wheelbase versions of both of these cars.
Okay.
And then when you fold down the second and third row, you've got even more space than all the other full-size SUVs like the Sequoia or the Expedition or the Armada and their luxury counterparts. So it's a pretty big truck. And one of the things that I will say personally is that I've moved closer to a city. Like I used to live a little bit in suburbia, and now I'm more a little bit closer to the city, and I drive through the city every day. And big trucks like this can be a little bit tough and intimidating to drive. I will say something about the size of this vehicle, whether it's the view over the hood and the large windows. I could acclimatize to the size of the truck way easier. It was easy to drive around town, and it's still very comfortable on the highway as well. So I was really impressed with the sort of like driving dynamics of it being a big vehicle, but not feeling like cumbersome and clumsy to drive. So there's really impressive like dynamics going on there. I will admit though, and I say this every time we have a chance to talk about GM, but Super Cruise is a really wicked feature, and Ford has gotten a little bit closer to Super Cruise with its Blue Cruise hands-free system, and Jeep does not have anything like that right now. And if it did, it's not available on the 2026 Grand Wagoneer. So, in terms of technology, you're missing out in that kind of stuff. But
there's one more thing I think we should mention when we're talking about the competition, and that's that GM is having a huge number of problems with the 6.2 liter V8s in the Escalades and the Yukons.
Oh my goodness, really?
Yeah, serious internal problems, engines failing after 10,000 miles. It's
that blows my mind. That to me, that 6.2 liter V8 has been around for like a long time.
Yes and no. I mean, the displacement has been around, but this iteration of the motor is not reliable. And if you could just go on Instagram and find GM service techs and mechanics making videos of customer vehicles coming in that require engine replacement. It's not an uncommon thing anymore. And it's not just the SUVs, it's happening in the pickups too. But I'm bringing it up because those are the power plants that we're up against when you're talking about the Grand Wagoneer.
Okay, that is important to note. Some of the things that I will talk about with this vehicle, I mentioned the cargo space is really big. Interior space is really good. I can fit in the third row without any compromise. The third row seats also have like a power recline function, which is really cool. Because usually third row passengers are treated completely like out of mind, really. They don't really have any accommodations or anything like that. Instead, I got a power recline, which allows those people to get more comfortable, or you can even like straighten the seat out so that you can get more cargo room if you want. But there's also USB ports back there, both USB-C and USB-A style ports. There's also a dedicated sunroof to those passengers, which is always a weird thing to see. It does not have a powered sunshade, though. You have to manual sunshade back there. The second row seats, now my version is an 8-passenger version of the Grand Wagoneer, which is, in Canada, it's about $800. Otherwise, you get a 7-passenger model and, I guess, extra money to spend on gas because gas is expensive now.
Did you put your child at the very back, like I'm always suggesting, and like create like a limo-like experience?
No, because he's rear-facing, and I think that would be really uncomfortable for him to be so far away from me, and we just wouldn't be able to hear each other, and it would be awful.
Okay.
But in the second row...
you haven't asked him, but okay.
The second row seats are heated and ventilated. There is also this fam cam thing, like a little camera that I can check out my kids.
How does that work for the rear facing? Like, does it have multiple angles?
It's right over. It's literally right over him. It works so well.
Wow, this is like a bird's eye view.
It's perfect. Yeah, okay. It's so good. And you can like zoom in on each individual seat.
Is that safe while you're driving?
No, I don't think so. But
do you use like a joystick to zoom in? How does it work?
No, you just touch the screen. And there are a ton of screens in this car.
Yeah, man. So many screens. Okay, do you have the fireplace wallpaper set on all of them?
It's called Relax, as far as I understand. And
it gets hot in there with all those on.
Yeah, it's just this weird, like, digital, essentially wallpaper and music, I think.
How many screens are there? Like, are we talking like 13, 14 screens?
Okay, so let's talk about them. In the second row, there are, because I have the rear seat entertainment system, there are 3 screens. That's 2 entertainment systems and a HVAC setup, because this also features a 4-zone climate control.
Okay.
In addition, I want to talk about those rear seat entertainment systems. Most of the time, when we talk about rear seat entertainment, and you and I have had this discussion, do rear seat entertainment systems really matter these days when everyone's got like tablets and smartphones and all that jazz? And should they be more than just an HDMI port? Because I drove, I think, an Odyssey that had a rear seat entertainment system, or maybe a Sienna, and they were like, there was nothing to do. There was nothing to do.
Bring your own DVD player, I guess.
Yeah, into your minivan. This thing has this Fire TV, like Amazon's Fire TV service or OS, and you can just use like the internet and watch and stream stuff, or even download things before you hit like drive away from reliable internet. So that's pretty handy. There's also one of these screens for the front passenger. I can't see it when I'm driving, but when you get in front of it, you'll see it. They also have an HDMI port and a Fire TV service to utilize as well. I'm curious. I need to check it out. I wonder if all 3, like, maybe this is a really important question.
Well, like, link them up?
No, yeah, sure. You should be able to link them up. That'd be great. So you can all watch the same thing at the same time. But additionally, do you need a different account for each one of those screens?
I wouldn't think so.
Because like Netflix gets really upset at you when you use the same account on multiple devices, right?
Yeah.
And technically you would be like 3 Netflix accounts.
Well, maybe this is why Netflix isn't there.
There is a Netflix button.
Oh, I don't know then.
So it's like an Android. I think it's kind of like an Android-based OS. I also need to point out, this is weird. Both of these rear seat systems are touchscreens. And I want you to imagine a 3-row vehicle and how far away from the screen that you are from it, okay?
It's like an airplane, I guess. Like a first-class airplane.
Would you want a remote control?
Well, the thing is, you have to balance out how far away you are from the screen with how dangerous it is for you to smash your face into that screen in an accident, right? Like, those are the concerns here.
What would the remote control have to do with any of that? Because all of these...
Well, the remote control becomes a projectile.
Yeah, all of these screens have a remote control, which I found to be so funny when I saw it happen.
Why can't I just download the Grand Wagoneer app and like use it on my 4-year-old child's like smart device?
That's a good point. I guess you're right. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4 screens, because I mentioned the HVAC. There is a central screen for the front passenger and front driver. There is an information display, a 12-inch information like digital dash. There's a head-up display which has the biggest fonts I have ever seen on a head-up display. It feels like it's set to old man mode.
Does it still have does it still have a climate control display as well?
Yeah, and I called that my creature comfort control panel because it features the massage seat functions there.
So that's 7 screens we're up to so far.
Yes, and that's all of them. That last one though can like tuck away. You can press a button, it motorizes. It has a motorized hinge. It flies away.
Is there a screen?
There's a wireless phone charger there.
Is there a screen on the inside of the gas cap?
No, there's no. I checked.
Missed opportunity.
You're sitting there for a long time to pull it up.
Yeah.
I have a couple of things to talk about with the interior. It is a pretty nice interior. In addition to being spacious, it's relatively comfortable. As I said, my car had heated and ventilated seats. It had massage seats as well. And there's a lot of physical buttons. Some of them are kind of like those haptic buttons, but they have like ridges around them, so you can like you don't have to aim too much. And then there's a lot of physical controls as well. So I will give credit to Stellantis or Jeep for figuring out some pretty good interior ergonomics. I think overall the vehicle is an improvement over the outgoing Grand Wagoneer and Wagoneer. It feels a little bit more grounded in what the ambitions of the Grand Wagoneer is and the price point of what that is. I have one major issue though, and we talked about this very lightly, in that it is a Jeep branded 3-row SUV, and it should be off-roading should be priority number 1. And I feel like that is not the case. I think maybe premium or technology, those are not things that I really associate with the Jeep brand to be the priority of this vehicle. And that's important to talk about because there's one other car maker or automaker that has, I think, the same off-road credibility and has a competing product in Land Rover, and the Defender 130, I think, is a more capable off-road vehicle. It might not be as luxury-oriented or high-tech, but that is a vehicle I would see myself go dune bashing in.
Well, I think the difference is that's a vehicle designed to go off-road from the start, whereas the Grand Wagoneer is designed to carry your kids around and tow a trailer.
So I agree with that. And I personally see this as being, and I guess that's like a lifestyle, maybe like tow a trailer or tow a boat or something like that. And to me, I guess this is like the daily driver for a household that already has a Wrangler, right? And they want to be in the Jeep family.
Well, I mean, daily driver. I mean, I think you need this. I think that you only buy this class of vehicle if you have a specific need for something this big.
Right.
And usually that's towing or hauling.
And off-roading is just not, it's just not a part of the 3-row SUV.
Yeah. The main problem I have with the Grand Wagoneer is it's very anonymously styled.
You still think so? I think it looks pretty bold, man.
I don't think it looks that bold. Are you thinking like from the front or like?
I think it looks better than the Sequoia. That's not hard, I guess.
You're comparing this to a Sequoia?
Isn't that what the 3-row SUV alternative is at Toyota?
Yeah, but it's considerably cheaper and not luxurious whatsoever.
Is it considerably cheaper?
Oh, yeah.
The Canadian pricing lines up pretty nicely, but maybe.
Well, if that's the case, then it's a fantasy. The other thing with Toyota, though, is no one buys the Sequoia.
Yeah, what happened there?
What happened is it's never been competitive.
Why did you make people not buy the Sequoia?
I'm sorry?
You told people, yeah, man, this thing, a fully loaded Sequoia is about 110,000 in Canada.
That's insane. We found why no one's buying it.
There's also a TRD version of the Sequoia, which is also $102,000.
I mean, that's just wild. Think about all the other SUVs you can get that are better than the Sequoia for like $40,000 less.
So I'm starting to, that's what I'm trying to say is like the Jeep at that price point is actually pretty competitive. I think it's better than, I mean, I don't know.
But it's not compare like you have to compare it to apples and apples. Like what does it cost versus that Defender, for example?
Mm-hmm.
What does the Defender
Good
go
point.
for?
I saw the Canadian pricing of the Defender. Let's get the US pricing out again.
I mean, the Grand Wagoneer in the US, it tops out about 103,000.
Yeah.
Right. And as you mentioned, that's really Escalade money. That's Yukon Denali money. That's Navigator money. And those, I think, are the three vehicles that this thing is going up against primarily. If you want to say maybe it goes up against Land Rover, I don't know if it's a Defender 130.
Defender, I want to find the pricing of the 130.
I'd say
a 130 tops out. I think there's a V8 version of the 130. I got to double check at $125,000.
Yeah, and the 130 is not going to be as nice inside, I don't think. But yeah. There's also
then there's like an entry level 130, which is around 75,000.
And there's did they still make the Discovery, the seven passenger Discovery? I think like Land Rover's kind of splitting the difference there for their 3 rows.
Well, I would say the Discovery is closer to like crossover territory. It's closer to like a Grand Cherokee.
Maybe, but it is bigger.
Or Grand Cherokee L.
It is bigger. Yeah, maybe the Grand Cherokee L. Anyway, I just don't think I think maybe from the front 3/4 it looks okay, but from the sides and the back, it's just there's nothing about this that has any real visual personality to me. It's very slab-sided.
How can they fix this?
I don't know, man. I think it's really tough to make a large vehicle look distinctive without going over the top.
Well, they have no chrome on it. Did you notice that?
I did notice. Especially, I'm looking at a picture of a gray one, and it's just like everything is like this concrete color.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I see that. That looks awful.
Yeah.
Mine is silver. It looks okay.
And the other problem I have with it visually is like this new front end. If you're looking at it head on, you have this tiny sliver of a grille, and then everything
which is illuminated.
Okay, but in the daytime, I don't care about that. What I'm primarily looking at is the giant chicken wire of plastic that's right underneath it. Like that is probably 50% of the frontal area of the vehicle.
And you don't dig that.
I just don't think it looks premium or distinctive. And I think that if you're trying to sell a luxury vehicle, you need to be one of those things.
I think you're right. I think that's an interesting take, because I think of all the things Stellantis does, I think their design team is among the more talented. And I actually think this looks okay. I think Jeep and Dodge have some pretty interesting designs.
Dodge has like one vehicle for sale right now, 2 vehicles for sale right now.
Is the Hornet still on your list?
And no, Hornet's gone. Hornet's out of sight, out of mind. And one of those.
Hold on, is the Hornet killed or just the PHEV version of the Hornet?
No one knows. The thing about Dodge, though, is one of the vehicles that has for sale hasn't changed in like 15 years.
Yeah, I guess so.
So
that's the Durango.
The Durango, yeah.
Yeah.
So who's to say if those designers are, have retired?
But that's a positive thing. I don't think that. I mean, we talked about this thing back with the Mazda 3. Sometimes an old design is still okay if it doesn't look aged. And
I think you like old designs. I think this is your deal.
The Durango is an old look. It looks particularly old. I don't think it looks aged.
Ooh, I don't know, man. You look at the Durango and it's clearly like Fate of the Furious. You know what I mean? Like that era.
That's true. Okay, now I'm looking at it, and they've also put a lot of like blur around it. They make it look really like it's in an action movie.
Yeah. There's some smoke and mirrors going on.
And if you have to do that when you're showcasing your car design,
you walk in the showroom and they like dim the lights. You're like, oh, you want to look at the Grand Wagoneer? Let's get it all dramatic for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Do you have a candlelit garage, perhaps?
Yeah, exactly. I do think that. Look, I want to compare this fairly, and I think that the most fair competition of the Grand Wagoneer is the Yukon Denali, and I think they match up really, really, really well. I would take this over the AT4 version of the Yukon. Is that okay?
I mean, they're
mad at me if I did that.
No, but again, not apples to apples. Like the AT4 is like the off-road version, and we've kind of established that there's no off-road version of the Grand Wagoneer.
It's also significantly cheaper. The AT4. The more I look at it. Okay, well, let's go back to the Denali. Yes, I would take this over a Denali too.
Okay, I would not.
But
I mean, maybe with the engine problems, I would, but I really like.
Hold on. Do all Denalis come with those shocks?
The 6.2s? The what? What shocks? What are you talking about?
Don't they have nice suspension? A really good
MagnaRide? Yeah, of course.
MagnaRide is nice. I think I like MagnaRide more than air suspension.
I think you're just really wishy-washy on this whole big SUV thing. I think you want them all.
I do want them all. I want the perfect truck. Can you sue me?
No, it can't happen. Anything else you want to wrap up on Wagoneer?
I want to talk about the really cool car that you've been driving this week.
A really cool car? Well,
ultimately coolest car between the two of us.
No, I drove the 2026 Subaru Crosstrek Hybrid. Have you driven this, Sami?
Today I learned that there was a hybrid version of the Crosstrek.
Well, it's not the first time. Way back
right.
I want to say 2015 or something like that.
There was like a Toyota one, basically.
It was not good. It was very, very weak. And
is it the PHEV or the hybrid?
No, the hybrid. It was a problem in the sense that it did not have enough power to do anything really interesting. The Crosstrek was already somewhat underpowered in that era, and hybrid did not help things. It added some weight. It was not a popular vehicle. They made a plug-in version, I want to say recently. Mm-hmm. This is not that either. This is a new thing where it's 2 electric motors and the 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine. And together it makes 196 horsepower and 199 pound-feet of torque.
What is wrong with Subaru?
I want to say why. I don't know why you're saying that, because this is the most powerful Crosstrek that has ever existed.
Wow! Thank goodness. Are they allergic to? Does something happen to the like? Is there a tax they have to pay if it makes over 200 horsepower?
Yeah, 201 straight to jail.
Straight to jail. Yeah. And here we go over at like. For Hyundai, forever, they used to have these 1.6 liter turbos that all made just 201, right? Yeah. And that's like, that looks good on paper. So 194 doesn't.
That is 14 more horsepower than the gas-powered version of the Crosstrek. But more importantly, it's 20 more pound-feet of torque. And those pound-feet of torque arrive like nearly instantly versus, I think it's 3,700 RPM for max torque on the 2.5 liter. So I'm not going to dwell on this vehicle too much because this is basically a Crosstrek in every other way. The cargo area is a tiny bit smaller because of the battery. And when I say tiny, like you're not going to notice it. I hauled a gigantic 32-inch Trinitron WEGA CRT television home in the back of this Crosstrek without a problem.
What is your project that you're working on that requires a CRT?
It's not a project. I just into laser discs now for reasons that I can't explain, and they don't look good on high def screens. They probably don't look good on standard def screens either. But I'm gonna give it a shot. I paid $20 for the TV. It weighs 166 pounds.
Wow!
To unload it.
Did the person help you at all when loading? Because they're
they did. They had a
like herniated disc.
No, they had a dolly that we used, and then we lifted it together. But when I got home, I unloaded it myself. I used my trailer for my tractor, and I backed it up to the Crosstrek bumper, and then I put a blanket down, and I lifted it across into the trailer. And then I used the trailer. I backed it into my garage, and then I have a dump function on my trailer. And I had a small dolly, very small, and I dumped it onto the dolly, and now it's sitting on the dolly, but it's so front heavy that I have like a 25-pound barbell holding the back down so it doesn't tip. I don't know how I'm going to get it in my house. I think I'm going to have to build a little train, like a train track using 2x4s so they can roll smoothly on the dolly. We'll see what happens. Anyway, Crosstrek was capable of doing that. You don't get a spare tire either. That's the other difference. One more difference I want to mention. In Canada, there's only one hybrid trim. It's the limited hybrid, the top tier. In the US, you get limited hybrid and you get sport hybrid. So the cheapest hybrid in the States is $34,000. In Canada, it is considerably more expensive than that. Well, actually, no. The exchange rate and the lack of tariffs helps Canadians out here. In Canada, it costs no, sorry, I'm wrong. It is more expensive. $43,461.
But that's for a limited model.
Yeah, which is $2,500 more than the regular limited. So the price difference from one limited gas only to limited hybrid is not that big. But if you look at the base version of the Crosstrek, it's like $10,000 more. So that's a considerable price. In the States, the difference between let me finish this.
All right.
The difference between sport hybrid and sport like gas only version in the US is $36,225 versus $34,000.
Wow.
So it's a similar difference. Limited hybrid, $35,000, which is a pretty big, $2,500 US, maybe over the regular limited. So it's not super expensive, but it is the most expensive Crosstrek. It is the most powerful Crosstrek. And I can tell you, as someone who owned a Crosstrek for a couple of years, with a engine that is no longer available, and I'm going to get to that in a second, it is considerably quicker. It's still not fast. I mean, there's nothing about this that is sporty. It's not like a Crosstrek STI. But until we get a turbocharged engine under the hood, it's as close as we're going to get, I think. And it does well. It's fine. I didn't have any problems driving it around. I never really felt like, I need more horsepower. I mean, clearly it merges a bit better than a gas-powered Crosstrek, but it's not a huge difference. The main difference between the drivetrains is it's less buzzy because you're not necessarily pegging a four-cylinder engine with a CVT.
And that CVT and that buzziness is actually it really does get to you after a while.
Yeah. The other issue I had, though, with the hybrid version is transitions between the gas engine and the electric system are not very smooth, especially if the engine's cold. It can actually shake the dashboard on initial startup. That's not great. And the third thing that's a little bit weird is there's a button on the dashboard to give you EV driving mode, and it never works ever.
Why?
The entire week I had the vehicle, I could never get EV mode to engage. It would just say EV mode not available. And the only time the EV light would show on the dashboard was when I was coasting or at a complete stop.
You're in EV mode, guys. Come on.
So it's mostly because the battery is very small.
Are you doing nothing? EV mode.
Yeah, it's not great. So that's kind of
that makes it sound more like a mild hybrid than a real hybrid. Well, is this all Subaru technology?
That I don't know.
Okay.
I would think so, because here's where things get a little bit gnarly. And I need to pull up the US numbers because I only have the Canadian ones, but I'm going to pull up the fuel economy of the Crosstrek Hybrid.
Okay.
All right. Here, typing sounds. In the US, I believe it's rated at 36 miles per gallon highway, city, and combined. I think it's all the same, and I'm just going to confirm that now.
Wikipedia says this is a version of hybrid Synergy Drive from Toyota.
I don't know
how successful Toyota is at that.
I love how
how successful Wikipedia is at that.
I love how you went immediately to Wikipedia. Sorry, I said 196 horsepower earlier. It's 194. I was off by 2. It still has the same ground clearance as everyone else. Yeah, so it's 36 miles per gallon. The gas-powered one is technically rated at 27 to 29.
Okay.
In Canada, they claim 6.5 liters per 100 kilometers, city and highway and combined, right? Or actually, no, 6.5 city and highway. The combined number is like something else.
Why?
I don't know.
Possible?
It's really weird. I'm going to pull that up. Why do I not have that here? Anyway.
Okay.
6.5 liters. So in Canada, the gas powered one, 9 liters per 100 kilometers city, 7.1 on the highway. I got the best I ever got in the vehicle, about 160 kilometers, mostly highway, some city, was 6.7. But at the end of my week, including a Saturday where I spent garage sailing, which is like stop and go city driving, which is probably the best case scenario for a hybrid, right? Because I can cruise around at EV power. Oh, wait, I can't because it doesn't work with the Crosstrek. I got 7.3. That's about 10% worse than what Subaru advertises for the vehicle. Not a total, that's not terrible, but you really got to compare it to like, not just other hybrids. Like if you look at, you're talking about Toyota technology, right? The only other all-wheel drive crossover in its class that is a hybrid is the Corolla Cross, which gets 5.6 liters combined.
Yeah, that's much nicer.
That's a lot better. But the other thing to think about is that it's only about 15% better than a gas model in the real world. You're paying $2,500 over the gas model, which if you're getting the limited, okay, I can see making that choice because you get more power. And that's not too bad. It's not a huge amount of money. But if you go down to like a mid-trim and try to justify the cost of upgrading to the hybrid, you're never really going to make that up with fuel savings. And then there's another thing that I think is kind of lurking on the background when we're talking about this particular vehicle. There used to be a 2-liter version of the Crosstrek as the base motor, and that's the one that I had. And I went back and looked at our actual real world. We use a tracking app for fuel mileage for 2 years, and we were averaging between 7 liters per 100 kilometers to 7.5 combined all the time during warm weather. So the
improvement is just it's not there.
Well, if you consider the fact that was the cheapest Crosstrek, and it's within like a half liter per 100 kilometers of this hybrid model, that's not a great look. And no. I'm wondering if that's why the 2-liter is no longer available for 26. This is
to like make this one look a bit better.
Yeah, this is the first year that the 2-liter has been taken off the menu. That's funny. I mean, if you really, obviously there's another difference, and the 2-liter only had 152 horsepower. Like that's not a lot. It was not quick. But if you're looking for an SUV as a commuter and you want it to be a Subaru and you want it to be all-wheel drive, and you can look at it, a last year's used 2025 model, get a really good deal and still match the fuel economy of this Crosstrek hybrid. And that's like, I mean, if you don't need the features because that 2-liter engine was only available in the base, that's a compelling argument. And I think more compelling than the hybrid itself. So my takeaway from this is it's not a terrible vehicle. I think it's a big improvement over the hybrid that we used to have. And the power is good and certainly usable, but it's not all that frugal. And it gets beaten down by the competition. And the gas versions come very close to matching it, if not completely matching it, if you go back one model year. So it's kind of a strange vehicle. I don't know if there are some people out there who are able to, I mean, even if you look at the advertised fuel economy and forget real world, it's still not that much better than the 2-liter.
Yeah, that makes it really a hard pill to sort of to deal with there. I don't like that one bit.
So, I don't know. Do you want a really expensive Crosstrek that gets the same fuel mileage as the cheapest Crosstrek did last year? This is the vehicle for you. You'll get better acceleration. You'll get more features. And that's the balance you have to ask yourself if you want that. Some people will say yes. Some people will be into it. I think the Crosstrek is a good package overall. I'm just not totally sold on this trim level. I think if you were going to get limited anyway, yeah, go for the hybrid. That I can understand. The jump is not that big. But if you're primarily focused on fuel efficiency, I think you should look elsewhere.
Okay. Anything else you want to talk about this week?
No, nothing.
That's it. We got it.
I'm dry husk.
I would really encourage our listeners to head on over to our website, unnamedautomotivepodcast.com. While you're there, you can fill out a contact form and get in touch with us.
Because you don't have to fill it out. You can just...
No, do it. We want to hear your feedback. We want to know what you think of the cars that we've been driving. Any other stories that in the automotive industry that have caught your attention you want us to talk to you about, just send us a note. We love it. Additionally, you can send us an email the old-fashioned way. It's Benjamin@benjaminhunting.com. He shares all of his podcast emails with me. So, well, only the ones, I guess, all of them?
You'll never know.
And you can reach out to us on social media. Most of the time, we're really easily accessible on Instagram. I'm at Sami_ha, like you're laughing, while Benjamin is at Hunting Benjamin. What else?
I think that's it. What are you going to be talking about next week?
I don't know yet.
Whoa.
Surprise.
Rolling the dice at the fleet. Okay.
Yeah, of course. Well, no, the reality is that I've got to get my tires. It's May, and I've got to get my tires swapped back, and so I'm going to probably keep my own cars for the week and do all that work myself.
I have to do that as well, but
oh, okay, good. So I was worried that I was late because it's May, man. I think
no, we've actually had snow last week.
Yeah,
so
yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Well, I have to do it with the Pathfinder. I'm probably not going to do until the end of June because I can't.
That's wild.
Well, the thing is, I don't really drive it that much, right? So it's not a big deal to wear down the winter tires. But I don't want to. It's a much taller vehicle. I used to take a jack in with me to Montreal where it's sitting. I use it from fleet to fleet. And I used to take a jack in when I had the Subaru because it's easy to jack up and get that done. But with the Pathfinder is a lot taller, and it actually fell off my jack in the driveway last year. And I just don't want to deal with that. And I think I actually bent a control arm when I was doing that, or a tie rod or something, because it's got a tiny little bit of a steering angle now. But I can get it back at the end of June because I have a week where I have a weird schedule for press cars, and I have a little window where I can bring it home, do some maintenance that I've deferred, figure out if I actually have an exhaust leak, because I think someone tried to steal the catalytic converter on it. And when it was parked recently, because I have a sudden exhaust leak that wasn't there before, and there's no reason that should happen. But there's a gentleman who does extremely cheap exhaust repair in my neighborhood, and I just basically show up and he's like hanging out, and you just like, if no one's there, he just works on your car. So hopefully I'm going to get that done with the Pathfinder. All that to say, next week I'm going to be talking about the Volkswagen Taos. Taos? Is that how I say it? Taos?
I would call it the Taos.
Taos? Yeah, Taos.
Okay. Well, I can't wait to talk to you about it. I think that we haven't really talked about the Taos at all yet, I think, on the podcast.
No, it's been an outlier.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks everyone for listening.
Bye.
Bye-bye.